Hi, this is Joe Walensky from the ConveyUX conference. I'm the program manager for our event that's coming up in Seattle next month. Talking with some of the speakers who will be at the event. Today I'm talking with Len Peralta. Hello, Len.
How you doing, Joe? It's good to see you. It's kind of a misnomer because I'm not actually a speaker, but I will be there and I will be part of the festivities. So
And yeah, you'll be able to tell us a little bit, talk a little bit about the things you'll be doing there. Where are you talking to us from today?
I'm talking to you from Cleveland, Ohio, lovely frozen Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the type of work that you're involved in?
Sure thing. Well, I'm an artist. I'm an illustrator. I'm a graphic designer, but I've been doing a lot of illustration lately, and that's kind of how I got involved with ConveyUX. I think you saw me through Tom Merritt's Daily Tech News show. I am the resident uh, uh, artist. Silly for a tech show, but every Friday I show up and I illustrate an image or a story right there within the half hour. It's quick and it's sort of interesting, and then it's just it's just something that's if you're listening to the podcast, it gives you something else to kind of go look at, and so that's been sort of interesting. So I'm doing something similar to that at ConveyUX, where speakers will be giving their presentations, and I will be kind of surreptitiously over to the corner drawing interpretations of what they're talking about, and it's interesting because sometimes I don't actually know where things are going to go. So some of the drawings. You have to have a deeper context. You have to actually understand what was talking about. But hopefully, um, the images kind of stand on their own too, and make for interesting art at the very least. So
Yeah, your images from this past year were great, and those are still available to be viewed. You're also, well, the majority of your work is working with your comic books, I think, and projects like that. What kind of things have you done in the past, and what are you working on now?
oh yeah, well I'm working on a lot. I work on a lot more comic books these days. I'm kind of bouncing between two comic books right now. I started a series, a five-part series with two guys, Mike Newman, who is the creator, one of the writers of Borderlands, the video game, and Chris Straub, who is actually a Seattleite, who is a webcomic artist in who does Brood Hollow, and we created something called Exterminate, and we released issue one in October on my birthday, and we're currently working on issue two. Along with that, I'm also working on another comic book called We Are the Debasement, which is about a Japanese rock band, which is very strange. So, two different things. Definitely, Exterminate's a little bit more kind of funny, scary. Debasement is about rock and roll. So along with that, I'm just doing a lot of different. We're knee deep in the holiday season here, so I'm doing a lot of commissions, custom things, and just I'm drawing every day, so that's a good thing.
You
Keeps me busy.
you
So
mentioned to me that you've converted almost all of your drawing to straight digital. So what's that been like? What kinds of tools do you use for that?
sure, yeah. Well, I originally was an analog artist. I would sit at my drawing table and I would draw with actual pens and paper and things like that. And then baby steps from there, I started taking that art and scanning it in and then painting it online. And so about 2 years ago, I decided to go 100% digital, where I would create the pens that I would hold in my hand inside of my computer in Photoshop. And so right now I work on a huge 22 inch Cintiq, which is in front of me here. You probably can't see it. Actually, I can probably do this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can
Don't
see that or
break
not.
it.
It's big. I mean, my arms you can kind of see are kind of covering this, but I use a stylus. This is my one pen, and I draw everything 100% digitally. Um, there are some obviously some pros with that, in that there are things I can do digitally that I could never ever do in real life. My son, who's 15, he paints real paint, and I can't do what he does, but the digital world allows me to do that in a way that I feel a little more comfortable doing. And then there's also cons to it. Sometimes the pens that I use do some really cool things, and there's more of an organic feel to it as opposed to the synthetic feel that I have to kind of create in the digital world. So there are some trade backs, trade-offs, I should say, back and forth. But overall, I am 100% digital, and try to keep it environment friendly as well, by not using as much paper, and not using as many pens. Although my drawing table doesn't really show that. There's a lot of stuff on it right now. So.
Well, I wanted to ask you about your interpretations that you do of the presentations. And I was just wondering if you might be able to kind of just break down a little bit, what's going through your head as, okay, speakers introduced, they start doing their presentation, this is going to go on for 45 minutes. So what's your process of identifying what then ends up as your interpretive representation of that session?
Well, sure. I like to give the illusion that it is something that is created right there, then and there, and for the most part, it is. Like I said, there's a lot of improv going on, and but I like to talk to the speakers that I'm going to be paired up with initially, just to kind of get a feel for where they're going. Sometimes I get good feedback, and sometimes the feedback's a little more like they don't even know where they're going at that point yet. So, which is actually more fun because I have to kind of latch on early to something that they're going to try to do, or try to convey, and draw from there. So I do like to walk in with a little bit of knowledge of what I'm going to be doing. Sometimes I don't have the benefit of doing that, so I have to just kind of improv it. But I find that it's, I did one last year which was really fun. It was, I think it was about rocks or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was one of the speakers who was talking about rocks, and and from that I just had to go with it, and I just had to draw whatever it was that she was talking about, and it was just kind of it was a cool little image, and it was an interesting image because it didn't necessarily have a whole lot to do with the talk necessarily, but if you were at the talk, you knew what it was about. You knew what I was trying to convey, and it'll be interesting. This year it is going to be a little bit different, in that I am going to actually be recording the uh, uh, the images through me drawing the images through Google Hangout, so people could actually uh, participate in that way, without necessarily getting in the way of the speaker. That's the hard part, is that um, uh, you know I can almost be a distraction to what the actual speaker is talking about, and I don't want that to happen because there's some really good information coming out there. And so the fact that people on their own can then log in and watch me create, if they care, just sort of as a side thing, is just another really cool way of taking content and putting it out there, and participating in it. And I love that part of it. I don't necessarily need the spotlight on me, but if you want to find out what I'm doing, you can watch it. I think this is going to be really, really cool. It's going to be a great opportunity.
Well, yeah, I'm excited to have you involved again for the second time, and so thanks for taking a few minutes to talk about this stuff. And I'll see you in a few weeks in Seattle.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I love Seattle. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Len.